Hello, and welcome back to From a Head Teacher's Perspective with me, Paul Urry. Leadership lives or fails in communication, not in how much is said, but how it is heard. For emerging leaders, communication often feels like the area where our confidence wobbles most. You may know what you want to say, but feel uncertain about how to say it. You may worry about being too soft, too direct, too vague, or too firm. This tension is real. Leadership communication requires the careful balancing of three elements: clarity, empathy, authority. When any one of these is missing, communication weakens. Clarity is the foundation. Without clarity, people fill in the gaps themselves, often incorrectly. Vague messages create confusion, inconsistency, and frustration. Over time, they erode trust. Clarity means being explicit about your expectations, purpose, non negotiables, and next steps. It does not mean being abrupt or blunt. Clear communication is thoughtful and structured. It anticipates questions. It removes ambiguity. As a subject leader, clarity might involve explaining why a change is being made, being precise about what is required and by when, distinguishing between guidance and expectation, and summarizing key points rather than overwhelming with detail. Clarity is an act of respect. It respects people's time, professionalism, and capacity to engage meaningfully. Empathy is what makes clarity land. Empathy allows leaders to communicate with awareness of how messages will be received. It acknowledges emotion, context, and experience. Empathetic communication sounds like, I recognize this adds pressure. I know this is a change from how we've worked before. I appreciate the expertise already in this team. Empathy does not dilute the message, it strengthens it. Without empathy, clarity can feel cold or authoritarian. People may comply, but engagement drops. Resistance becomes quieter and more entrenched. Empathy signals that leadership sees the human side of change. Authority is what gives communication weight. Authority is not about dominance or volume, it is about confidence rooted in purpose. Leaders sometimes avoid authority because they fear appearing controlling or unpopular. As a result, messages become tentative. I was just thinking maybe. You don't have to, but it's probably fine if. This language undermines leadership credibility. Authority does not mean shutting down dialogue. It means standing behind decisions once they have been made. It means communicating expectations with calm assurance rather than apology. Authoritative communication sounds grounded. This is what we are focusing on this term. This is the expectation moving forward. This aligns with our agreed priorities. Authority reassures people. It provides certainty in environments that are often complex and pressured. The challenge for emerging leaders is holding all three together. Clarity without empathy feels rigid. Empathy without clarity feels weak. Authority without either feels unsafe. Strong leadership communication integrates all three. This integration begins with preparation. Leaders who communicate well think before they speak. They consider, what is the core message? What might people feel or worry about? What questions are likely to arise? What tone is appropriate? This preparation allows leaders to speak calmly and confidently, even in difficult conversations. Communication is also shaped by consistency. When leaders say one thing and do another, trust erodes. When messages shift depending on the audience, credibility weakens. Consistency does not mean inflexibility, it means alignment. Your words, actions, and decisions should reinforce each other. Listening is a critical part of leadership communication. Leaders do not communicate at people, they communicate with them. Active listening involves giving your full attention, avoiding defensiveness, reflecting back understanding, asking clarifying questions. Listening does not mean agreement, it means respect. People are more open to leadership messages when they feel heard, even if the outcome is not what they hoped for. Tone matters more than leaders realize. Under pressure, tone can shift unconsciously. A rushed comment, a sharp response, or a dismissive phrase can undo months of trust. Emotionally intelligent leaders monitor their tone as carefully as their words. They recognize that calm authority is more effective than urgency-driven intensity. Another key aspect of communication is knowing when not to speak. Not every concern requires immediate response. Not every issue should be resolved publicly. Silence, used thoughtfully, can create space for reflection rather than escalation. Leadership communication is not about constant explanation. It is about purposeful communication. Finally, confidence in communication grows with practice. Emerging leaders often expect to feel confident before they speak. In reality, confidence often follows action. Each clear conversation strengthens credibility. Each empathetic response builds trust. Each authoritative decision reinforces leadership presence. You do not need to communicate perfectly to communicate effectively. You do need to communicate intentionally. Leadership communication is not about performance. It is about responsibility. Responsibility for clarity, responsibility for people, responsibility for direction. When clarity, empathy, and authority work together, leadership communication becomes a stabilizing force, even in uncertain times. So, pause for reflection and take time to consider these questions. Which aspect of communication do you find most challenging? Where might greater clarity support understanding? How can empathy and authority strengthen rather than weaken each other? Leadership is heard before it is seen, and communication is where leadership becomes real. The accompanying workbook is designed to support this process, helping you reflect on your leadership habits, identify next steps, and translate insight into action as your leadership continues to develop. Please do take the time to work through it with yourself or with colleagues. Thank you. And until next time, goodbye.